From the kitchen, an American classic, Meatloaf. Here to share his secrets is Chris Kimball, editor-in-chief of Cooks Illustrated and host of America's Test Kitchen. Chris, good morning.
Thanks.
Tell me your secrets.
Hey, you didn't tell me I'd have to do this. This is an entirely different segment.
Yes. All right. Let's
stick with Meatloaf here.
What are the key ingredients in the classic meatloaf?
Well, just think of Meatloaf as this big hamburger that you overcook. And that's the concept. You cook it to 160 degrees, not medium rare. So there are 4 things you got to know to make that really turn out well, so it doesn't get tough and dry out.
Okay.
First of all, you start with meatloaf mix, which is half beef, then a quarter veal, and a quarter pork. The reason you do that is if you do all beef, as I said, it's like a hamburger. It's tight.
Oh, it's too tough.
It's too tough. And actually, if you only have beef, there's a trick. You can use half a teaspoon of powdered gelatin with the beef, and that will help keep it a little bit softer and moister. So that's
Really?
a little, we found that in the test kitchen about a year ago.
Okay.
But meatloaf mix is great. The pork adds a little flavor and fat. The veal adds gelatin.
Okay.
Because it's a young meat, it has a lot of gelatin in it.
What else can you add to make sure it's not too dense?
Well, the 2 other really important things. One is a cereal, a grain. We tried grape nuts, cornflakes. We tried everything. It turns out that saltines, about 2/3 of a cup, work great. You can also use fresh breadcrumbs as well. So that's important. The other thing that goes with it, and this is an old Italian trick called panade. When they make meatballs, they take bread and milk and put them together. And that helps the protein not get so tight when you cook it. So we found a half a cup of milk or yogurt with the 2/3 cup of saltines or fresh breadcrumbs works really well. We tried alcohol, of course. We always try that at the test kitchen.
How'd that work?
The alcohol was great, but not in the meatloaf because it doesn't really burn off. Everything tastes better with alcohol. But we stick
good
with
for you
milk.
for trying.
We tried. So that's the basic concept, is that a couple eggs, of course, and that's the basic formula. 2 pounds of meat, a little bit of bread, milk, 2 eggs. That's the basic formula for meatloaf.
And that'll keep it from getting too dry?
Yeah, what you want is to have that filler. Some people think it's just to save money, but it's really to have a nice, soft, moist texture.
Okay.
So now cooking it, it turns out that if you cook it in a pan like this, a loaf pan, you see a lot of grease.
Yeah.
So it really stews the meat in its own juices.
Right.
Which we don't want to do. So we found that doing it on a half baking sheet like this with aluminum foil, or you could put a rack on this as well and just free forming it like I just did. Then all the grease and the juices sort of go out, and you don't end up steaming it in a nice crust. And we're going to glaze this. This is just brown sugar, vinegar, a little tomato ketchup.
Okay.
Glaze it, and we're going to put some bacon on the top as well. We have to, adding pork, by the way, even dessert sometimes, adding pork.
Makes it better.
Yeah, I just there isn't many things in life that are not better with pork. So we'll do that.
I totally agree.
Right?
Okay. So you glaze it up
Yeah,
just like
and then
that,
we'll
not
just
too thick.
take the bacon, and you want to tuck it under. So like that, and then we'll just continue with the other slices all the way through. They get bacon wrapped, which is what we have right there.
Okay.
So there you go.
So after you do all that, what should you be preheating the oven to?
It's 350 degrees for about an hour.
Okay.
And but we have some variations on the theme here. This is the basic meatloaf that we came up with. Now we have a few others.
Okay.
However.
So this is after 350 degrees
For an hour.
For an hour.
Right.
It should come out looking like
Yeah,
this.
and you can use an Insta-read thermometer. That's a great tip in the kitchen. You use an Insta-read thermometer, put it right in the middle. Should read 160.
Okay.
So it's fully cooked.
Now, I've never made meatloaf.
No.
I know you find that shocking,
This
but
is-
can I tell you,
Harry's falling off his chair.
I have eaten my share of meatloaf, and I think the greatest meatloaf I've ever had is a recipe from my girlfriend Bodie Boatwright. She had a dinner party once where she served meatloaf 2 ways, among other things, with tomato sauce and then with brown gravy and mushrooms, and it was like a double fister. It was like dinner. And she gave us the recipe, which is right here.
Yep.
This is the one with the tomato sauce. She calls it a Sicilian style meatloaf. What does that mean? And
Sicilian style means you shape it out into like 10 by 12, and then you fill it. In this way, your friend put actually grated mozzarella cheese, about 9 ounces, and then rolled it up and then cooked it. So it's got a secret, well, Harry's probably discovering right now, Maggie, there's a secret inside, which in this case is cheese. And you can also top it with cheese as well, but Sicilians rolled it up and they had a filling.
Okay, tell me about the other 2 meatloafs that you have brought here.
Well,
what is this one with
This is the formula for the basic meat is the same as this, more or less. This is called a frosted meatloaf, which is a whole category, which is mashed potatoes with a little cheese in them. You cook the meatloaf to 140, frost it, finish it in the oven.
Okay, that's why it looks like that on the outside. And this one?
That's Mrs. Rockefeller's. That was the wife of Winthrop Rockefeller, former governor of Arkansas in the 1960s. She came up with a kitchen sink style, which means she has onion soup mix, curry powder, hot sauce, rye bread, cottage cheese, sour cream. I could go on and on. She's got everything in there. There's no restraint here. This is without borders. Meatloaf
Okay,
without borders.
let's go to America's Test Kitchen Tasters. Harry
know.
and Maggie, they have tried all 4.
Yes.
Now, which one is the best, Maggie?
Before I even saw that your recipe had the bacon, this was my hands down favorite.
The one
with
that
bacon.
Chris made,
With
okay.
the bacon.
All right.
You?
Do you have a second?
Second favorite, I'd have to say Bodie Boatwright's. It's kind of like a meatloaf parm.
There you go.
Good. Number 2.
Yeah,
I'll
I
tell you
didn't
what.
like Rockefellers at all.
Crazy about Rockefellers.
Really?
Loved it
Really?
a lot, but really, really liked the meatloaf with the potatoes on
We
top.
had the complete opposite
Oh,
impression.
yeah.
There's
Exactly
only-
right.
God, you guys should be on Tasting Pins.
There's
Sir,
only
can
one way
I
to
get your
settle
plate
it.
or offer you dessert
We
or
have
anything
to
else?
eat it.
Thank you very
Tiebreakers.
much for coming tonight. We appreciate
He
it.
knows how to clear from the right.
Yes, thank you,
Chris
sir.
Kimball,
He's
thank
well
you so
brought
Right
much.
back.